I think crypto assets have a good chance of moving to all-time highs by the end of the year. I am optimistic on an end of the year surge in crypto. We're seeing real institutional interest. We're seeing the government potentially reopening. That means more liquidity. You mentioned the Clarity Act. I think expectations will grow there. We're seeing the ICO market reborn through Coinbase. There's a lot to be excited about this Uniswap thing. I do think the market is underappreciating how significant prediction markets will be. I think they're even bigger than most people think they are.
The backbone of Hougan's bullishness, institutional capital, regulatory clarity, and ETF flows. He argues we're not just in another retail-driven hype cycle. Large financial firms are now participating. For instance, he highlights that a staking Solana ETF launched on the NYSE attracted hundreds of millions in inflows. He also emphasizes timing. We're early in the regulatory clarity cycle. We're less than 10 months into the positive regulatory pair of crypto, still very early, but that means opportunity.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
The thing that people get wrong about crypto is an asset like XRP definitely has divisive views in the community. There are many people who love it, and there are many people who are skeptical of it. The thing about ETF flows is the people who are skeptical don't matter. All that matters is that there are people who are excited to buy it. That's why you see high inflows. So I think the mistake people make when they estimate something like an XRP ETF is they take the median view of XRP in the crypto community. It doesn't matter. It's that there's this strong, committed community of people who are excited for this product, and they will allocate. So I think XRP will be a big success. I don't know if it will double Solana, but it will be another big success in the market. And the question is, do we get that kind of Q4, early Q1 melt up that more than doubles the price of ETH? That is, from my view, very optimistic. Look, I think crypto assets have a good chance of moving to all-time highs by the end of the year. I am optimistic on an end of the year surge in crypto. We're seeing real institutional interest. We're seeing the government potentially reopening. That means more liquidity. You mentioned the Clarity Act. I think expectations will grow there. We're seeing the ICO market reborn through Coinbase. There's a lot to be excited about this Uniswap thing. But whether we'll get a 2 or 3x of ETH in 2 months, I love Tom. I really hope he's right. I think it's very optimistic in that short a time. I actually think it's a catalyst independent of the improvement that it delivers to the protocol. I think it's a catalyst from a narrative perspective. One of the criticisms of ETH when it was down in the doldrums at like $1,500, not that long ago, right? That was like April or something, was that it was very slow to execute on these upgrades. You remember they had plans stretching to like 2029 and people were exhausted. The ability to execute 2 major upgrades in 1 calendar year would be extraordinary and would show that they've adopted sort of the ship first mentality that I think would be rewarded by investors. They want to see ETH have a ship first mentality. And if they can deliver on that on Fusaka, I think that will be really beneficial to the narrative. And I think what we saw at the ETH community is they really got their act together and they've been rewarded. The price is, up 200+%. Tom says it's going to triple from here. So, kudos to them to reacting to a market reality, a regulatory regime change. And if they can continue to execute, that just sort of builds on that story. I do think the market is underappreciating how significant prediction markets will be. I think they're even bigger than most people think they are. And most people have accepted they have a place in the world. I think they have a really substantial place in the world. That's a tough one on the token versus the equity, because the thing about it is both communities are so excited, right? Crypto is so excited, but TradFi is so excited. I don't know. I'd want to own both.
There you go.
Hopefully I can both. I'm gonna cop out of that. If you think about what Solana is, it is a play on stablecoins, a play on tokenization, and one of the most exciting technological blockchains out there. That's a pretty good trio. And when you combine that with an ETF that charges just 20 basis points and then stakes 100% of the assets, it makes a lot of sense. When we talk to institutions, they're very interested in allocating. The retail community is very strong around Solana. So we've been very pleased. I'm not sure I'd say surprised, but I definitely would say pleased, is that is where the market goes. I think all assets will be tokenized. I'm aligned with Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, on that. I think ETFs will be tokenized. I think strategies like you just showed, which is our DeFi index private fund, will be tokenized. I do think we're in a transition phase, Paul, where both will exist. There's some traditional investors who want traditional regulated vehicles. There are more forward-thinking investors who want tokenized solutions. You can expect Bitwise to do all of those things. We don't currently have tokenized funds, but it's something we're looking at very closely. There are various ways to do it. And I do think that's the ultimate destination of where this industry is going. The entire financial ecosystem is moving on chain. That includes funds. So I'd expect to see Bitwise doing both in the future. It's somewhat hard to judge. What we're seeing is that tokenized strategies are starting with sort of income-oriented strategies that appeal to retail crypto investors. And that's the phase that they're at. And there is demand for those strategies. What we don't know is, does it expand into these like baskets of interesting crypto assets? I suspect it does, but it's a matter of timing. So right now, I think the market for that is relatively small, but I do think it will ramp significantly as people get more and more comfortable holding crypto assets. Remember, from a regulated perspective, we're less than 10 months into the positive regulatory era of crypto. Still very early, but it's going to be huge. Just like ETFs displaced mutual funds, tokenized exposure will eventually displace even ETFs. So I think that's the direction. I think it's transformative to Uni as a token. I think it's more broadly transformative to the DeFi space. What I said in that clip that you mentioned or that you played was that the reason these spooky governance tokens launched instead of real tokens that offered economic value in these incredible applications was because of regulatory pressure. If you had something like the fee switch, or you had a direct economic tie to activity on the application, you ended up in jail. And so no one did that. Uni is now showing that it always wanted to have this direct economic tie. That's why they're putting all these in place. That's why they're burning the 100 million tokens. And now they're able to do it. I think investors are going to revalue these assets. I think we're going to see other DeFi assets follow suit. I think we'll see new DeFi assets that have direct economic ties. We're blurring the line between crypto asset and company here, Paul. And we're allowing these applications to have real economic value and therefore the tokens to have that value. And I think that's going to be a new bull market. I still think we're on track for DeFi Summer 2.0.
Hougan does not offer unchecked hype. He emphasizes that not all tokens will survive. He has warned that 95% of the world's cryptocurrencies will die a painful death. That means your audience must understand selectivity matters. It isn't about buying everything. It's about buying the ones with strong communities, investable wrappers, real economic utility, and ideally institutional acceptance. When discussing tokenization and DeFi, he warns that simply labeling a token governance will not cut it. Investors will reward real economic activity and clarity. That's a vital narrative for YouTube viewers to take away. The next wave of crypto is less about bets and more about business model alignment plus regulatory integration.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentally driven, revenue-based, users-based, application-based. It fits into a TradFi framework. You could give that table to an analyst at Goldman Sachs and they could come up with a valuation number. Previously, the number did not compute, right? You would put the data in, users, revenue, et cetera, but then how would you get to the value of the Uni token? It had governance. We don't assign much value to that. Now you can calculate that. And as a result, you're going to see institutions move into this space in droves. It's worth noting, if Uniswap were a company, it'd be one of the most exciting financial startups of the last 20 years. Because it's been a token, we haven't thought of it that way, but now we will. And I think it's really exciting. I absolutely think it will be a trend. I mean, Uni is being rewarded. The token price is up. You're going to see pressure on other tokens to do this. And what Hayden said is exactly right. It's actually it's maybe more right than he's positioning. It's not that we don't need quarterly reports. It's that we're getting vastly improved information, real-time information verifiable on chain about the economic value going on here. It's not just equal to the previous era of regulation, it's actually better, right? Because it's real time, it's ongoing, and it's provable, not just audited. There's no Enron here, etc. Right? So I think it's a huge step forward for investors, and I absolutely think you're going to see other people follow suit and do their own version of this. This makes tokens better. I mean, that's one way of thinking of it. It also shows investors that the existing tokenomics of an existing token aren't fixed and can be improved as regulations improve and expand. So I see this as broadly beneficial for the crypto space. Yeah, I can't emphasize enough how much regulations erected a barrier between what these tokens wanted to be and what they were forced to be. And that barrier has been brought down by the more engagement style regulation of the SEC, the more desire to do safe harbors, the more effort to align with investors. So whether it's Uni or other tokens, I think people should just be open to us evolving to a better standard. You're never going to have worse DeFi tokens than you had today. We're only moving forward and up in investors' favor. And that's going to be true not just of Uni, but of other assets moving on. So there are two kinds of ETFs in the market. There are traditional ETFs like BSOL that hold the spot directly. Those are what's called 1933 Act ETFs. And then there are 1940 Act ETFs that use futures or Cayman subs to gain exposure. We'll probably see a Uniswap ETF in that 1940 format relatively soon. Uniswap doesn't have the qualifications quite yet to make that other more direct ETF live. But these other ETFs, these 40 Act ETFs, are good too. They're maybe not as efficient, but it's a relative thing. You know, an ETF is better than no ETF. And I think we'll get to that 40 Act ETF pretty quickly on something like Uniswap. The government isn't even open yet, so I don't know if it will happen in 2025. I think the poly market odds put that at a low level. I think the expectation or the hope will be it happens in early 2026. But so far, the administration has delivered on its crypto priorities, right? It's made certain promises, and it has in fact delivered those promises. Clarity is one of those promises. We're hearing positive developments. So if you force me to choose in Q4, I'd probably say slightly below 50. But if you extend that to Q1, I think we have a good chance of getting this passed. And I do think it is a major catalyst for the market at that point.
Matt Hougan gives us a compelling lens for the next phase of crypto. He believes we're beyond the will crypto survive phase. The question now is which infrastructure, tokenization, and vehicle will win. For XRP, he points to the power of committed allocation. For Solana and Ethereum, he points to the convergence of protocol execution and institutional access. For the broader space, he points to tokenized funds, ETFs, and real economic utility as the game changers. The narrative is clear. If you believe in crypto's long-term role, you should now focus not just on price swings, but on structure, flows, investment wrappers, and economic utility.